What is up, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and welcome to another episode of Hitting the Books, the show where I take a comic that I've read this week and I review it. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about the one, the only Supergirl in her first adventure in the New 52, Supergirl, Volume 1, The Last Daughter of Krypton. Now, this is a very strange sensation for me, actually talking about Supergirl in comics, because I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not the biggest Supergirl fan at all, or I wasn't at least. See, the problem for me is that Supergirl's always seemed like a neat concept that nobody could crack since Crisis. And for a while, she just kind of became this superfluous character to the chronology of Superman. And yeah. But then the New 52 happened. And it looked like somebody finally figured out what to do with this character. Okay, so the story goes a little something like this. Meteors shower upon Smallville, Kansas, much like another event from so many years ago, but one of the rocks just ain't stopping, and it ends up digging through the core of the Earth, and it erupts in Siberia. And what ends up happening is this hot chick named... Wait, hold on a second. Am I allowed to say she's hot? She's 18, right? Okay, screw it! Spoiler alert, doesn't matter how old she is, just know that her cousin's like 30, and that makes her like 50 because math and science and gravity, and anyway... She comes out of the crater, and it's Kara Zor-El, and she's attacked by these giant robots, which, the robots get the tin can crap kicked out of them because, she's Supergirl, but just before Kara could get any information out of the men in these robotic suits, Superman appears, and he's telling her to stop. And spoilers, she doesn't, and the two have a disagreement. But it's all cool. They chill out eventually, and okay, it's more like she chills out. Superman's always kind of chill in this book, which is I like that. A chill Superman who doesn't like flip out over every little thing like he does in the main books. But yeah, Kara eventually chills out, and Superman gives her the rundown on everything and why he's Kal-El, her baby cousin, who's now a grown-ass man, and what's been going on with Earth and what kind of things that happened to Krypton. And suffice to say, she does not take it too well. But later on in the book, Kara tries to find the craft that she arrived in to seek answers for her troubles because she's just not having anything that Cal's telling her. So she goes back to the site where her craft was, erupted from in like Siberia, and she finds that it's gone, and that in its stead is a holographic guy with a gross looking face, and just one of those faces that you want to punch. I think she actually says that in the book, and it's pretty hilarious. But later on, she goes to find a craft, and it's covered in, you guessed it, and she gets taken down really fast. But it's only by the grace of one of the other guards who helps her escape. But on her way out, she finds a sunstone. Now, a sunstone, for those of you who are not initiated, sunstones are basically really advanced flash drives that are also interdimensional gateways, and they're actually, they can do whatever the writers want them to do in any given situation, but here it serves as a portal to Argo City. But something's wrong. It's deserted, it's desolate, and it's forgotten. But soon after her arrival, she's attacked by Rain, a world killer. And this is one fight that Kara does not win. But after some time passes, she finds it in herself to escape, and it's just a really well written scene, very well drawn, but I'll get to the art in a second. But yeah, after that, she returns to her new home, Earth. But there, Rain, the world killer, has already started wreaking havoc. And this time she brought some friends, and it's these other world killers, and Supergirl swoops in to save the day, and they have an epic knockdown drag out in the heart of New York City. And it's really cool, it's a nice fight. And eventually the world killers just kind of get bored, and they end up leaving. So, yeah, that's basically more or less what happens in this first volume. And I know that sounds very simplistic and very dumb, but it's actually written very well. So yeah. Now, that's it for the story. Let's just gawk over the art now, because I love this art, and it is a drastic departure from how I'm used to seeing Supergirl because, based off what I've read of Supergirl, I'm usually used to seeing her drawn by Churchill and Rapmund. They did Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes, I believe. Yeah, yeah, they did. And I think Barry Kinston. No, yes, Kitson. I'm sorry, I've always messed up his name. So yeah, Barry Kitson, who did Supergirl Power. Yeah, he. I'm used to seeing her like that, but it's kind of weird because, on the one hand, looks really cool, but on the other, she's like 16 in that book that Jeff Loeb wrote, and she looks exactly like Stacey Carr, who was a porn star. And no offense to porn stars, I just don't think that I should be thinking of a porn star when I look at a 16-year-old fictional girl. So yeah. Plus, they're drawn in, clearly in this traditional comic book fashion where everything is dynamic and the color saturation is high, and there's a lot of dynamic reds and blues and yellows. But here, the art feels very indie. And I feel like I've been saying that a lot when I'm reviewing these more recent comic books that have been coming out in the past 5 years or so. And I think that really speaks to how the industry is changing, huh? But yeah, the art in this book was done by Mahmoud Assar, and I'm not very familiar with this guy's work, although I hear he's done some stuff on the X-Men, which, based off reading this and looking at this, I'd love to see, but I digress. So, the art's very different from what I'm used to, and it's very understated in comparison to the other Supergirl stuff that I've seen, but it's also very stylized. I know that's a very odd combo, understated and stylized. Yeah, but yeah, that's just how it looks to me. And the coloring, my God. Okay, so the guys who did the coloring for this book were spot on. Dave McCaig and Paul Mounts. These guys know how to capture a scene just through the use of colors. For example, in action scenes, the colors pop. They're vibrant and just gorgeous to look at, and they really complement Mahmoud's art, which by itself is amazing. But in these intimate moments, like when Superman's telling Kara what happened to Krypton, or when she's talking to the ghost of her parents and she has to escape the situation that she's in, the art's very dark and the colors are very desaturated, and they do a really good job of reflecting Kara's emotional state throughout the book. And there are multiple colorists, and that usually has. Okay, so I have this thing where if there's multiple talents on one book in regards to the art, I notice it, and it's very distracting to me. But for here, it doesn't affect me as much because while they're both very different, they both serve the story amazingly, and both styles are just gorgeous. And another thing in regards to the art is her costume. It's great. I'm not sure who designed it though. I don't think Mamad designed it. I think Jim Lee designed it because the collar, Jim Lee and his freaking collars. I think that dude is a collar fetish, but that's neither here nor there. But I really like her costume here, and I think it's a huge upgrade from the the weird schoolgirl mini skirt with the crop top. I'm sorry, I don't like that design. I hate the fact that she wears a mini skirt. Like, really, a mini skirt? That's the most impractical design for a superhero. That is so dumb. Like, look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Supergirl's lip slip. Seriously, no. This design's 1,000 times better, and I just like it more. Now onto the things that stood out to me, whether they be good or horribly bad. And as always, starting off with the good, uh, this made me like Supergirl. The character is written in such a way that she doesn't feel tacked on to the Superman mythology. Just because, oh, well, she was an important Silver Age character, so I guess we're gonna have to keep her around. Right, guys? Right? No, she feels like her own entity. And she's tied deeply to Krypton. Also, I know a lot of people hated this, but I love this, and it's the fact that Kara's angry. And I hear a lot of people say things like, I hate it because, the super people, they're always supposed to be happy and sunshine and rainbows and crap. But I disagree. I love the direction that Green and Johnson went. And it really makes a lot more sense that she'd reject Earth and her cousin at first, because unlike Cal, she was raised on Krypton. That's her home. And everything she knows and loves and her entire way of life is just gone. It's scattered throughout the corners of space. And realistically speaking, that would suck a lot. So I really get what the writers were going for when they were remaking this character, and I really appreciate that. Another thing that a lot of people hated, but I loved, was the language barrier, and it's not just limited to this. It carries over in Volume 2 and I think Volume 3. I don't remember. I haven't read all throughout Volume 3 yet, but yeah, a lot of people hated the fact that she couldn't speak English yet, and I was like, are you guys serious? I mean, this is a teenage girl who was thrusted. I have a dirty mind. But yeah, she's a teenage girl who popped up in this totally different world with a totally different language. She ain't gonna learn English overnight. Like, alright, imagine if you woke up in a completely new country where nobody spoke your language. And hyper intelligence or not, you ain't gonna learn that language, overnight. Come on now. Just think it through. As for the negatives, I don't have any. Yeah, this is just a really good story. I mean, I can't really think of any nitpicky things at the moment, but uh, yeah. So, yeah, I just have nothing but positive things to say about this book. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Supergirl Volume 1, The Last Daughter of Krypton. This is stellar. I love reading this, and this made me a Supergirl fan. And while I am kind of looking forward to the Supergirl series that's going to be on CBS, and just see what it brings to the table, I can't help but have this gut feeling telling me that it's not going to be anywhere near as good as the New 52 Supergirl, because this is just amazing. And maybe if they utilize Kara in the DC Extended Universe, they could do something like this. But yeah, I'm just saying I love this book, and this is definitely something that I would recommend to anyone who's trying to get into Supergirl. Actually, not even just Supergirl, just getting into comics in general. Just read this. It's great. So yeah, that is it, guys. If you like this video, all you gotta do is hit the like button, share, support the channel. If you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and as always, until next time, adios, nachos, adios. Adios.